Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So in the 2020 House elections for the United States House of Representatives, Republicans actually shocked the world. They didn't really shock me, but even then they overperformed my expectations. And they gained 15 seats in the House. Democrats gained 3 for a net gain of 12 for the Republican Party. And Nancy Pelosi's majority was cut from about, 25 seats or so to just 9 seats or so. It's under 10. And the 2022 midterms are coming up. Redistricting is set to favor Republicans as they do control a majority of the state houses. And as a result, Republicans could be in for a red wave year, depending on turnout, especially given the fact that Biden, his approval rating is kind of tanking right now. Even the election mafia polls, as I analyzed in my last video, are having D plus 14 samples, and they can barely keep them afloat. And when you take the outlier polls out of the RCP aggregate, Biden is actually below 50% approval as we speak, which is really saying something. They can't really prop up their boy anymore. He's the golden boy of the media, but a lot of people not exactly on board with the Biden administration as much as they were even a few months ago, given the fact that you have things like a rise in inflation, given the fact that you're seeing these new restrictions being imposed when it comes to things like mandates regarding the virus. And as a result, Democrats in 2022 may be facing some blowback, even though now they're trying to backtrack and now they're trying to sue states for changing their election laws to pre-COVID. You see exactly what they're doing here. They're trying to do everything possible to prop up the Democrats. And even then, I don't really think it's going to work. So we have to analyze, what would a red wave look like? What would the best case scenario for Republicans look like in the midterms? Because obviously, I don't believe that we're going to see the best case. Obviously, there's the best case, then there's the worst case. The answer is usually somewhere in the middle. This video in particular is going to be analyzing what the best case would look like. I could do a worst case video later down the line for the Republican Party in the midterms, obviously. I do try and focus on the potential rather than the downfall, but you do have to focus on both because obviously the downfall potential is there, but I don't really see it right now from an objective perspective. I just don't see it. So I wanted to analyze the House, the Senate, and governor's elections. Again, this is not a prediction, but this is a best case scenario. What would it look like in the best case scenario? So we have to look at the House, and I actually did this beforehand because I'm not going to fill out all 435 House seats on video. That would take way too long, and I just don't want to do it. But you have to keep in mind, Republicans had a disadvantage in the popular vote of approximately 3.1% in the 2020 House elections. I do believe that their best case is roughly between 5 and 6% in terms of their advantage in the popular vote. That's not as big as it was in 2010. That is roughly around where it was in 2014, even though I expect turnout to be higher on both sides compared to the very low turnout 2014 midterms. I expect it to be more like an inverse 2018. And you could see this right here. The best case scenario, they would actually gain 47 seats in the House. Now, I've calculated this. This is after redistricting. Obviously, before redistricting, I have it as R plus 37. If redistricting goes well, they may gain 10 seats. Like I said, they may gain the House off of that fact alone. They could actually lose ground in the national popular vote, but still retake the House, even though I don't expect them to. I'd probably say the House is arguably a foregone conclusion, to the point where it's not if they will retake the House, it's by how much will they retake the House by. And that's the main question. But the best case, I could see them, again, flipping pretty much every seat that was within 10 in the 2020 election because of turnout and things like that. And you can, take into account this map. I added a few in there for trends, such as the district up in Michigan, that goes from Flint to Saginaw up north that way. Michigan's 5th, some in South Texas. Henry Cuellar, he was almost primaried out last time, given maybe the fact that the energy could be in the primary on the side of the Justice Dems. He may be exited this time. Latino trends in South Texas could cause that seat to flip, even though that was not within 10. So that did take this into account, and we ended up with 250. Adding for redistricting, that's another 10. That would be 260. So 260 to 178, which honestly, 2024, assuming the national popular vote is roughly about even, which is what I'm expecting, especially if it is Harris against Trump or Harris against DeSantis or whoever, Republicans probably would obviously lose some House seats, but they would probably be in a good position to hold the House arguably, for a few election cycles. Even, a midterm would have a little bit of blowback on them in 2026 if they did retake the White House. But beyond that point, still, I think that they probably would hold it, given the fact that they would have a massive, an 82-seat advantage or something like that? That's a major, major margin. So that has to be taken into account, and that has to be understood, and Democrats are going to be whining about redistricting. They're going to be whining about gerrymandering while conveniently ignoring Maryland and Connecticut and California even to a large extent. But you look at this map here, there is ground for improvement for Republicans. They're really only going to go up from here, assuming that the national popular vote, obviously the national environment moves in their favor. But again, this is a best case scenario. Do I expect this to happen? Not necessarily. I think they probably are going to gain roughly around 30 seats at the moment. But again, we haven't even had redistricting yet. We'd have to see exactly what happens. But the potential for them to gain close to 50 seats, is it there? Yeah, it's there. Obviously, it would take the right circumstances. Biden's approval rating is going to have to dip a little bit more for that to happen. But again, seeing the fact that that's kind of going on right now, the possibility and potential for it is definitely there. And I really would be lying if I said that it wasn't. So that's it for the House. But we have to look at the Senate and the governors. So again, not a prediction. This is a best case scenario. Obviously, Republicans are going to win in North Dakota, South Dakota. We could basically fill all of the, safe red states out right here. Obviously, in a best case scenario, Ohio and Iowa would also be safe states. And you could even argue that Murkowski would be primaried out in a best case scenario. Because again, it's not just Republican versus Democrat. It's also Rhino versus, America First Republican candidate as well. That needs to be taken into account, and a lot of people will forget about that. But again, this is not a red wave shill video for the GOP. This is a video laying down the groundwork for what we possibly could see in the 2022 midterms that would also have a wave of America First candidates that would be put into office here. So we could see this. All right, so the best case scenario for Republicans is they probably would get, again, 54 seats. And I can't see them getting beyond that, but they probably would win Georgia by a lean margin. North Carolina, they probably would win lean to likely. Wisconsin, they would probably win by a likely margin. Pennsylvania, they would probably win by a lean margin. Again, Fetterman, you probably want to go up against him because he has more baggage than go up against Connor Lamb. Connor Lamb may be a little bit too moderate to win a primary, but if he is the candidate, he has a better chance than Fetterman. But that's beside the point. In a best-case scenario, Arizona would flip. Nevada would also flip, maybe even by a wider margin than what's shown right here. New Hampshire, Sununu would run and win by a lean margin or something like that. And Colorado would not flip, but it would be close, and it would force Democrats to divert resources from states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania to Colorado. Dems would still win it by probably 4. And by the way, next documentary will be Monday or Tuesday. Colorado, Georgia, Virginia, the collapse of the former old Republican coalition. That will be out soon. But this is kind of what we're seeing here. So, and like I said, there is potential because, again, look at 2018. The only swing state that flipped in the Senate was Florida. I mean, the other states Republicans flipped were like, R plus 20 states or over. And Florida routinely has been immune to midterm waves. Even in 2014, Rick Scott only won by a point or so. And I do expect that to change this time, given the state of the Florida Democrat Party. They are the deteriorating Democrats compared to even the rest of the Democrat Party nationwide. I mean, and I don't think that their status as a bellwether is going to remain the same. I think Florida is going to be a lean to likely state in the near future, and one could hope that Texas corrects course and joins them, but we'll have to see. There's a lot of factors at play. And I don't think we're going to know long-term trends because I get a lot of questions. What about 2032, 2036? Obviously, we're not there yet, but we're not going to know that until Trump is fully gone. because there are some questions about, was Trump the best candidate? How much would a Trump-like guy that's not Trump outperform him, and questions like that, like a DeSantis Hawley ticket? How would they do in Texas, right? Questions like that. And they're important questions. I still want Trump, but like I said, I don't know the long-term trends because Trump is a unique candidate. Although I do expect the Midwest to continue to get redder, and I do expect the Sun Belt to be more competitive, and some states like Georgia and Virginia probably get a little bit bluer. But that's beside the point. That's the Senate election prediction for the Republicans if they have a massive wave, a R+5 national environment. You could even argue they would do better in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, etc. But they would get 54 seats. That's pretty much set in stone if you have an R+5 national environment. Sorry, Colorado, maybe 45 years down the line if there's a new realignment. But the governorships, obviously, this is a little bit more nuanced. Oregon could probably, again, a lot of these states are statewide races. A lot of them could get closer. Virginia Youngkin would win if the national environment was applied correctly. I don't think Youngkin is going to win. But Youngkin would win in this scenario because McAuliffe is lazy. He doesn't know how to campaign. New Hampshire would stay red no matter what. Michigan would flip. Pennsylvania would flip. Wisconsin would definitely flip. Minnesota would still go for Tim Walz, but it would be closer. And Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, all of these would be safe. Even Kansas, likely, if not safe, Republican, given the fact that the Brownback administration is now in the back of people's minds, and Laura Kelly's not like a super popular governor. Not saying she's like unpopular for a Dem in Kansas, but she's not, a total blue dog, even to the extent that John Bel Edwards is, to the point where she would stand a chance. But that's roughly it. But Republicans obviously would win big. Texas, Florida, Georgia would stay red. New Mexico would even be a flip in the governorship, and they definitely would flip Nevada, hold Arizona. Colorado would stay blue, I think. So would New York. Maine, I think, would be very close. But here it would be 33-17. They would sweep the map of all the competitive races. Mark Ronchetti would get the dub in New Mexico as well, assuming he would run in this scenario. So here's the deal. The best case scenario for Republicans is the fact that they would gain essentially 47 seats in the House. They would gain 4 seats in the Senate off a net, and they would hold some competitive races that are open seats like Pennsylvania and in North Carolina. And in terms of the governorship, they would also gain, I believe it is 6 governors. I know that there's 28, but one of them is a territorial governor from Northern Mariana Islands, so you have to knock it back to 27. And Republicans would be sitting here at 33 governors. So that is, by the way, that is, I believe, 66%. That's roughly a supermajority of governors. The Senate, they wouldn't get to 60, but they could be on the pathway to 60 if 2024 goes right. They would have a massive majority in the House, but does it matter at this point? Does it matter if you don't have the right Republicans? Does it matter if you don't have the right candidates? I don't think it does. Our party needs work to actually be one that serves the best interests of middle America, because they don't do that right now. And this is not an RNC shill video, but we're gonna build that Republican Party, because the Republican Party has the potential to be an instrument of good, but we have to make it that way. Primaries are important. They come first. So this is going to be my last Red Wave shill video for a while. Keep that in mind. And I will be back with a documentary, and we're going to be doing great things in the month of August. This is going to be my last video of July. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.